Welcome back, sci-fi fans, to the Science Fictionary Podcast. I'm Andrew, here today with Marisha, and we're going to talk about stuff. Some stuff, yeah. It may be, I got a few topics, but it may be a little more random than some other days. But we're gonna talk. Sorry again, I know it's there was no warning here. You had about a 5-minute warning that we were going live, so
here we are.
I know it's also 4:30 on a Saturday afternoon. I don't know if we'll have anybody in the chat today. Maybe somebody.
Some people might have better things to do on Saturday.
I mean, I was just in a chat with some of our friends. They're all in there complaining about the
heat.
Superman.
Really?
So maybe they'll see us that we're live over here and join us. But I don't know. Maybe they were complaining about Superman while at work. Who knows?
It's true. It could happen.
I mean, I complain about things when I'm at work.
It's true.
On the internet sometimes.
And to your wife.
And to my wife, but like my wife's always here while I'm working, and my podcast stuff's always here while I'm working. So,
Perfect distraction.
Yeah. I mean, there's not, it's not like there's any distractions in this room, right? Because this is the room I work in.
Right.
No distractions.
Not at all.
Not all my books, all my cameras, just.
Not to mention just the internet, which is like plenty distracting its own self.
It's true. So we kind of got a few topics, our big topic. So we're going to talk briefly about Superman, very briefly. Maybe 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to do our full Superman discussion with David. If everything holds true to what we think, sometime this week we will be doing that with David.
Yes.
I'm not totally sure. I will keep everybody more posted on that one, because obviously if we're doing it with David, we'll actually have to schedule that one.
True.
So it might be YouTube. It might be the audio show. If we do the Superman discussion on the audio show, odds are we'll then come back to YouTube and do a separate discussion over here. Because I know some of you, I know we've got people that listen to the audio, people listen to the YouTube, or watch us on YouTube, and doesn't seem to be a ton of crossover between the two groups. It seems that people either, take this stuff one way or the other, not necessarily both.
Yeah.
I know we have some people that do both, but we also seem to have a lot that don't.
That's fair. I tend to.
Which is why this has been getting, if you don't have time to watch and you'd rather catch this on the go, I've been putting up the episodes that have been the cut up episodes from these live streams that have been getting separated into their own videos. Have also been slowly getting, I didn't want to just throw them all out there at once, but they've slowly been dropping over on the audio channel. So the audio channels are active again.
Okay.
Both Coruscant Radio Underground. Now that's the key over there. If you've never listened to the audio shows, it's 2 separate shows.
It is.
Over here, it's 1 show. Over there, you have the Science Fictionary for all of, you have Coruscant Radio Underground for Star Wars, and you have the Science Fictionary podcast that covers everything else. So, if you do want to catch those, just remember it's 2 different channels, but they're available everywhere that you listen to podcasts.
True.
Including the big ones, including, Amazon, Spotify, Google, all those. It's wherever you want. In fact, it's kind of sad, but it seems like a lot of the small podcatchers that were around when we started doing this have all been killed off by all the big.
Since Spotify and Amazon started doing podcasts, it kind of.
Yeah.
I think they sort of took over the market.
Yeah. And it's sort of a shame. I mean, but that's kind of the way it goes. It's kind of like, when Walmart shows up in town and the mom and pop stores all go under. So, little sad, but it's unfortunately just the way that goes. And, the money, they're just able to provide a more consistent service. Some of the others were buggy. The big ones very rarely seem to be. Our stuff always goes up quickly and don't seem to have the issues with it we used to have on some of the other shows with them not showing up.
Yeah, true.
But we're going to talk a little Superman. we're going to talk. We've had a few new movie trailers lately.
Yeah, we have.
That actually look fun. I don't know, like none of them that are like the big movie of the year kind of movie, but like stuff that I'm really looking forward to. A couple of them in particular. One of them I had no idea was coming until the trailer dropped.
Right.
But we'll get into those, and then the big topic, the main topic for today is we're going to talk about Dragon Con, but specifically, how to Dragon Con. Not that there's one right way to do it. I think there's probably a lot of right ways to do it, but I think there are probably some wrong ways. There are some lessons that I think we've learned over the years.
Yeah.
That
deciding that you don't want to drink any water, so you don't have to get out of your costume and use the bathroom. Wrong way to Dragon Con.
Yeah, but we're gonna get into Dragon Con.
Yeah,
but
we've done a couple of the wrong ways.
I think every year we've gone because every year it seems like we do some things a little different. And if you're wondering what I'm doing and why I'm not looking at the screen, it's because the Dragon Con app has been updated. Now it doesn't have everything on it.
Okay.
That won't happen until 2 weeks or so before the show, but I do believe. Well, yeah. So it updated, and so I want to make sure. Actually, it says it hasn't been updated. I really thought it had been, but it's coming. I'll check that later. But we're gonna get into all that. So let's start off with. Well, let's see. Do you have anything else before we get into our first topic?
I don't think so.
You sure?
No.
All right. Well,
no, I can't think of anything. So.
All right. New movie trailers.
Yep.
So the ones off the top of my head, the one I'm excited about is The Running Man, which is of course a remake of a Schwarzenegger film, based on a Stephen King novel. If you've been around here at any time at all, you know that I'm not a huge Stephen King fan. Stephen King is this weird anomaly of a writer who the adaptations of his books are always better than his book. Like almost without exception.
Yeah, there are a few things like that I was like, oh, I'm going to go read the book. And it's like, oh, the book sucks.
Well, he's Stephen King's a weirdo.
Yeah. And
he's put some fairly disturbing things in some of his books, including involving, children characters. So dude's kind of a creep. Among other things, but he's his writing is fine and he builds an interesting story, but the man writes terrible endings. He just does. And so it seems like whenever someone adapts his stuff, they always like manage to fix his inadequate. They start with what's a good story and then fix where he failed. Because there's plenty of good movies based on Stephen King books, but I just don't care for Stephen King's writing.
That's fair.
But The Running Man is coming. It is now, of course, the reason I'm looking forward to it now, the original movie has kind of a cult following.
Okay.
One, because it's Arnold, and two, because it's just delightfully campy. So if you don't like camp, you're not going to like it. But the people that like it really like it and will defend that movie. That movie's just not very good, but they will defend that movie to their last breath. And it's fine. I have movies like that too. The Running Man is not one of the ones I will defend like that. But I don't mind camp. But I was happy to see that Edgar Wright, who's taking the helm on this one. Here's the thing about Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright doesn't miss much.
Right.
But he's also just, Edgar Wright movies don't always do well in theaters.
That's true. They always, again, with camp following. They always manage to pick up a following eventually, but not always.
Cult following?
Yeah.
You said camp following.
Camp following.
I don't even know what that is.
Camp following.
So, Scott Pilgrim, massive cult classic. I still think maybe the most underrated of all comic movies ever made. but it did terrible in theater.
Mm-hmm.
Shaun of the Dead, I don't even know if it got a US release in theaters.
Really?
Hot Fuzz did, but it didn't do well. Now, fortunately, those things were not super high budget, and this was before the budget stuff got totally out of hand where it is now.
Right.
But it's I think they probably did okay. They made 3 movies together as part of that series, but for me, his style is just it's hard to beat what Edgar Wright does with a camera. The editing, phenomenal. I mean, every movie that Edgar Wright does has been a masterclass in film editing. Now, granted, that's not always him, but it's the people he works with.
Yeah, the thing is, sometimes so much of being a good filmmaker is being able to get the right people to do the right job.
Well, I mean that's everything.
And I was talking with a friend who's a really, really talented production designer who does a great job. But she'll tell you all day, every day, my biggest strength is being able to find people who are better at any of the given things than I am.
That's honestly, when you see people, the best producers in the game, that's what they're good at. They're good at finding the right people to do the job. They're good at, they have all the contacts to get all the locations you could want. And, that's a big part of it, is just being the person that knows the right people.
Yep.
So yeah, it's the team, but it's Edgar Wright's style combined with the editors he works with. And now I still think that even Edgar Wright's strong point is when he works with Simon Pegg. The 3 Cornetto movies they wrote together. And I feel the same way about Simon Pegg. Like, Simon Pegg wrote the movie Paul, which is fine. I enjoy it, but it's not on par with the ones they did together. The sweet spot is Edgar Wright, Nick Frost, and Simon Pegg together.
I do love the Star Trek movie he wrote, though.
He did write a fantastic Star Trek movie.
He didn't really do great, but it was so good.
Yeah.
And it was written on a really short time turn time too.
Yeah. But what did you think about the Running Man?
I mean, trailer? I think it looks visually is very cool, which isn't surprising, but it's also futuristic, which isn't, sci-fi isn't necessarily Edgar Wright's go-to. I
mean, World's End is
that's true.
End of the world sci-fi.
But like creating a whole world, that's kind of like ours, but futuristic. It's cool looking. And I think it's going to be, I'm sure the pacing, he's really does a really nice job with pacing. So I'm sure the pacing will be good, which is something for an action movie.
Well, I think,
half of making it a good action movie is good pacing.
True. An action flick that drags in the middle is, is not generally going to do well. But I'm excited to see Michael Cera back working with Edgar Wright. Yes. That should be fun. And he looks like he's playing a typical Michael Cera. Michael Cera is one of those actors. I think he's actually a pretty talented actor, but there's this sweet spot where you just let him be quirky Michael Cera, and that's where he works the best. And it looks like kind of what he is in this movie.
The water gun, the puppet up the water gun. I was just like, oh my god,
And of course, this is going to be I think this is a big test for Glenn Powell. This is a little bit different kind of movie. This is at this point, if he's successful here, he's great in Top Gun. And I haven't seen it, but apparently really great in the Twisters movie.
Yeah, I saw it. It was, he did well. It wasn't a super deep character or anything.
No, and that's the thing. He hasn't played any characters that are particularly deep, and I don't know that this character will be particularly deep, although I think there will be some depth. One of the things with Edgar Wright is he doesn't do a lot of one note characters. I think there will be some depth to the character. So that's going to be interesting to see. But I'm excited about that one just because Edgar Wright's one of my favorite directors.
Right. Yeah.
Also,
Fans
depending on what
that's what's making me crazy. I'm sorry. I was just like, why is my hair like keep blowing in my face? And I couldn't figure it out. And then all of a sudden I realized click.
I think this is so Edgar Wright's been kind of stepped into a different types of movies here lately. Now Edgar Wright, you're not gonna get an Edgar Wright movie every year.
Right.
A guy picks a movie, and the last one he did was Last Night in Soho, which was I haven't seen. It seemed to have pretty mixed reviews, a little more mixed reviews than his stuff normally has. And it doesn't seem to have garnered the same kind of, after theater following that his movies generally do.
Right.
So, it's always nice to see him trying new things, but like at some point you just always hope that the director that you love doing certain things will eventually
go back
and do those things. And I know there's talk of another movie with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Right.
And that'll happen eventually. The thing is they're all very busy. And Simon Pegg's coming to Dragon Con. We just got that announcement yesterday, or I guess technically it was Thursday night on the YouTube show, the Dragon Con YouTube show that they were doing, kind of the pre-Dragon Con show they do every year. I think they actually got to announce that during that show. So that was cool, but I didn't see it till Friday. But somebody said, now they just need to get Nick Frost. And somebody said, well, Nick Frost is busy for at least the next 8 years. Because if you didn't know, Nick Frost is going to be Hagrid in the new Harry Potter series.
Which I mean, I don't have strong feelings on the new Harry Potter series one way or the other until they cast Nick Frost as Hagrid. And I'm like, well, now I will watch it all because Nick Frost is just so talented.
He's very talented, and I think a lot of people kind of try to put him in a box as far as the type of actor he is. And he is a brilliant comedic actor. I mean, he, just impeccable comedic timing. But the dude can really act. He's one of the best things in that later portion of Into the Badlands.
Yeah.
He was one of those characters that you wanted him on screen a lot more than you actually got him. So,
when he showed up, I was like, really? Like, Nick Frost seems like a weird choice for this show. But the longer it went, the more it was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
So,
So let's see. What other trailers have come out? We got a Tron Ares trailer, finally. Not the biggest Tron fan, but this is visually looks very cool. So
I mean, and Jared Leto, if there's one thing you got to give the guy, he'll always go for a different kind of character.
I kind of hope, like, a lot of his characters lately have not worked out in his favor.
Yeah.
So he actually looks, I think that from what I've seen, this may be finally one that works for him.
I think so. I mean, you got to give the guy credit. He'll experiment with different kinds of characters, but this one looks like it's going to do well.
It puts you in the, not to say that he's Nicolas Cage, because he's not, but Nicolas Cage has always been willing to do the weird. It's kind of like Johnny Depp the same way, like always willing to take the chance on something different. And sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. And so that's just, if you're gonna be the actor that takes the chances and doesn't always play it safe, then you're gonna miss sometimes. And it's good to have actors that don't mind doing that, because usually when they hit, they really hit. So I don't have a ton to say about that trailer though, other than that it looks interesting. Visually it's pretty stunning.
I mean, I don't
know.
That
and having 9 Inch Nails do the soundtrack is a good move.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't I don't know that I've ever actually even seen a Tron movie. I'm familiar with kind of
Oh
the
well, you need to
concept,
watch. We need to go. We need to watch the first one. The first one's one we probably ought to pull out and watch with the kids.
but it looks cool, and it's visually very interesting.
Mhm.
So I probably will see it. I'm curious enough about it to watch it. So
Yeah. So let's see. What was the other trailer we watched with Ryan Gosling?
the Hail Mary, Hail
The
Mary,
Hail Mary.
yeah. Which I mean,
Is that the name of it, or is it
yeah,
Hail Mary?
it's either
Or
Hail Mary or the Hail Mary. I think it's Hail Mary. Oh, Project Hail Mary. Yeah, that's what it is.
is that what they're calling? That's the book. Is that what they're calling the movie as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Project Hail Mary. Really curious about this one for a number of reasons. One, it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd never heard of it. I had no idea it was coming. I think we saw the trailer ahead of the Superman film.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also, of course, anxious to see. Not that Ryan Gosling hasn't done sci-fi,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm curious to see kind of in this one, because I know that what he's going to be heading off to work on, kind of on the heels of this,
Right.
is a Star Wars project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I mean, it looks so the author of the book that is the author of The Martian, which is an excellent book. And sorry. And let's see who's directing it. Levy, Sean Levy.
No.
Not Sean Levy. Nope.
Sean Levy is making the Star Wars movie.
Oh.
With Ryan Gosling.
You're right. Okay. Let's see.
This is Lord Miller.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe a little redemption for Lord Miller as well. We will never truthfully know what their Star Wars project was, because by accounts that I have heard, that was it Ron Howard that came in and finished Solo? Yeah, that he reshot like 80% of the movie. So we'll never really know what Lord Miller's Star Wars movie was. Yeah. And if it was as bad. The thing is, it's like, I don't necessarily trust the executives at Lucasfilm when they say, oh, it was bad.
Right.
Because let's be real clear, they thought The Acolyte was the best thing that they had ever made. And they, from all accounts, really didn't like Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. That being said, though, I really did love Solo.
Yeah. So. But my point was that Lord and Miller were thrown under the bus. Mm-hmm. Maybe deservedly so. That
was a really weird moment, though, because Gareth Edwards the same thing happened to him with Rogue One. Again, Rogue One was great.
Well, but Gareth Edwards wasn't thrown off his project. They just brought in another person to touch it up. And it sounds like, Tony Gilroy kind of took over when he got there.
But it also sounds like Lord and Miller weren't really willing to play ball and take a back seat, and Gareth Edwards was. And so, either way, it was a weird moment over there. I'm not sad about the result of either of those two movies, but I think from everything that I'm seeing, this looks like it's going to be a really good movie. Mm-hmm. It looks good. Brian Gosling's just, the man knows how to hold a camera, and it looks like he's going to be doing quite a bit of it by himself. It's always something of a test for an actor is how compelling they can be on the camera.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the thing with this, The Martian. They did The Martian, and it only works because you have, an actor that's able to handle being on camera for a huge portion of that movie alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's there's a reason they don't make movies like that in general. You know, like The Castaway was kind of a landmark because it was the first time they'd really done something like that, at least in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, there were other
kind of did
movies like
well.
that, but not necessarily on the scale of
Mhm.
Castaway or The Martian.
Yeah. But I do think that he's one of those actors who is compelling enough to hold the camera by himself, and I guess we'll just see, you know, if that proves to be true. But I'm excited about it. I think it looks good.
Yeah. All right. So final trailer. The last one we got is the first trailer. We had a first trailer and a teaser.
Yeah.
A day or so apart on Mortal Kombat 2.
Honestly, so I didn't watch the first Mortal Kombat movie. Not because I had an objection to it. It just we don't have a theater anymore. But this one I will see because I'm not gonna lie, I would watch Carl Urban paint a fence.
Carl Urban is fantastic. Side note: one of the best panels I've ever been in at a con was a Carl Urban panel that I just wandered into by mistake while I was waiting for whatever was after.
Yeah.
He's really good, but great actor, and his filmography is very impressive. When you look across the board at what he's done over the years.
Have you seen the meme that it's like fantasies, the one where Carl Urban has long hair, sci-fi Carl Urban has short hair?
Yeah. But I mean, he'd done, his Dread movie is really underappreciated. Another side note, did you see that they're making a new Dread movie? So apparently we're never getting our Carl Urban sequel as Dredd, as Judge Dredd. Did you see who's directing the new Dredd movie?
No.
Taika Waititi.
Ooh.
No, that's bad. That is not a movie that Taika Waititi has any business whatsoever trying to do. I don't think.
Maybe he's going to change tones.
I don't know. I mean, it maybe if he's gotten himself together, but let's be honest, that last Thor movie was just a drug-fueled fever dream.
Yeah.
And we saw the pictures of him and some of the actresses leading up to that movie. It was all that whole thing was just drug-fueled. There's little to no doubt about that. So, I don't know. I mean, can he get himself together and make a movie that really needs a more serious tone? Or are we going to get some sort of crazy, campy, I don't know. It seems to me it seems an odd move when you've got a lot of people out there that have been clamoring for a sequel to the last variation of Judge Dredd.
Mm-hmm.
It seems an odd move to just say, oh, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to give you another version of the one you really liked. We're going to give you Taika Waititi instead. Taika Waititi, who's supposed to be writing a Star Wars movie.
Is that still a thing?
Supposed to be. They claim it's still a thing. Now, we did get some notes the other day. It sounds like Ryan Johnson has now come out and said he had never written a treatment, a script, anything. But I'm pretty sure at one point they told us that stuff was written and they were just waiting to go. But it sounds like they're officially, putting the gravestone on that one. He basically said, well, I never really had anything. And then I started working on this other thing. And I'd love to have the opportunity to come back. But it's they've spent years just telling us lie after lie after lie about the future of Star Wars.
Do you remember that big announcement they made about was it an Alphabet Squadron movie or a Rogue Squadron movie?
It was Rogue Squadron.
I mean, it was this whole
they
big
even
thing.
filmed a thing with what's her name? The Wonder Woman director that was going to direct it.
Yeah, it was this whole big.
Supposedly, they're still acting like it's a thing.
That's been like what, 4 years?
It seemed to me like it was pre-COVID.
I mean, like,
Maybe it
how
wasn't.
you
but-
can't. Okay, you can't announce a movie, a Star Wars movie, and then just leave it in production limbo for the next decade.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. What is going on? What is going on over there? Somebody with a brain needs to get that ship straight.
They they need to clean house at the top over there.
They're really Ryan Johnson.
And I look, I'm saying this while I fully acknowledge that this year was the best year. This is the best year for Star Wars since Disney bought it.
Okay, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I love a great Star Wars TV show, but damn it, I want a good Star Wars movie. We haven't had one since Solo. We've had there have been things that I've really enjoyed about Star Wars movies.
We have one mediocre movie in Solo. Kind of what I would say is, if we wanted to mark what the mid tier of the Disney era Star Wars projects have been, Solo would kind of be my midpoint, I think.
For Disney era Star Wars projects?
Yeah.
Okay. What's top?
Well, I'm going to put Force Awakens and Rogue One at the top.
Yeah.
Rogue One at the top, Force Awakens right under it. Force Awakens had, it wasn't perfect, but it was a good Star Wars movie and kind of gave us a lot of hope of what was to come. And then it went off a cliff. And then I'm going to put basically, Solo in the middle, and then I'm going to put the rest at the bottom of the pile.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the heck out of not Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker in the theater.
Look, so Rise of Skywalker, I think, manages to be an entertaining film in a lot of ways, but it is just riddled with inconsistencies and some things that they just like. I feel like I was listening to Alan Tudyk talk earlier, and he was talking about how a lot of people still, even today, talk down sci-fi. And that, he's talking in context of Andor, and he says, but Andor is so good, you can't look down at it. But I feel like, to some extent, like J.J. Abrams kind of looked down on what Star Wars was, to some extent. I feel like when you had these cheesy ass moments of like a billion ships coming out of hyperspace, it was like, when we see the Star Destroyers, it's like, what did you do? Just hit copy paste 1,000 times? Like, it's too much. We don't need to see just this endless line of Star Destroyers, because they're all identical and they're in space. So they're no background. And it just looks like AI slop at this point. Like, if you looked at it now, I promise you it would look like you prompted AI to give you like 1 million Star Destroyers. It's just, they're all just like perfectly gridded off. It seriously looks like somebody created a row and then went copy paste, paste, and just held the button down. Maybe fell asleep on the keyboard. I don't know. And then when you have all the ships come in with Lando coming out of hyperspace, and it's just like, there's too many. It looks goofy because you overfilled the sky to the point where there's like no way that these things aren't crashing into each other, and like it's too much. Like, we're not taking this seriously at this point. I complained last week when we were talking about the ships careening off of objects, and it's that kind of like, we're not taking this very seriously. I was so not sold on Andor.
No, I wasn't either.
I loved the idea, but I wasn't sold on this gritty, less fantasy oriented version of Star Wars. But what I got at the end of the day, I look at that and I go, thank you. This is Star Wars made by somebody who takes it seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, a couple things like, we did do the careen the TIE fighter off like cliff faces and stuff, but okay, but we've kind of like established we can do that at this point.
Yeah.
So it's not an inconsistency, whatever. Like, but and I feel the same way about Skeleton Crew, even though we were way more lighthearted.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was made by somebody who was immersed in this fantasy world and took it seriously at the same time. Like, they can have fun, but they can still take this world seriously. And I feel like that's now. Look, I'll even admit, like, I feel like the people that made the Acolyte mostly took the world seriously.
They just didn't understand.
But they didn't understand Star Wars. I saw somebody the other day claim that Star Wars, that the people that made the most hated Star Wars projects were the ones that understood it the most. That knew the most about Star Wars lore, being the Acolyte and what, I can't even think of her name, and the one that made the Acolyte, and then Leslie Headland and Rian Johnson. It's like,
okay, now I do think that Rian Johnson probably seemed like he was very well informed about Star Wars lore.
Well, so here's the difference, and we talked about this yesterday, actually, is that I don't look, I listened, and some people balk when I say this, but like, we were there at Celebration when they showed the first trailers for The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to Rian Johnson talk. I watched Rian Johnson just spend endless hours meeting fans in line, waiting for the doors to open. Like, all these things he did. I firmly believe that the man loves Star Wars,
right,
while also firmly believing that he does not understand it.
Yeah, that's fair. But Leslie Headland, I don't think, likes Star Wars, nor does she understand it.
Leslie Headland's worldview conflicts too much for her to understand it, I think.
Yeah.
Like the worldview of Star Wars is not this postmodern stuff that everything is today. And honestly, if that's your worldview, I'm not surprised you can't understand.
Which is funny, because like postmodernism was kind of like all the thing in the 70s, and
yeah, but Star Wars wasn't.
If Star Wars were supposed to be that, it would have been that in the 70s, because it was already a thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but instead it was a throwback to, older things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
With a very good versus evil oriented worldview.
Yeah.
Whichever, Lucas drew from Christianity, drew from Buddhism. I mean, both of those are pretty well rooted in, a good versus evil dynamic.
Yeah.
Clear cut. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we got way off topic because we're talking about that trailer with Carl Urban.
Yes.
So what do you think about that one? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of complaints. The teaser is hilarious. People did not understand the teaser. They thought that was like what the movie was going to be like.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this is one of his movies within the movie. This is his cheesy 90s action flicks.
Yeah.
They even brought back movie voice guy to like do the intro for that movie. So
yeah,
I love that, but the trailer looks good. Like, I think they probably played with some character designs more than a lot of people are going to be happy with. Specifically Jade. Jade looks nothing like Jade from the video games.
Mm-hmm.
Like total character redesign. I don't care that much. I'm not watching the movie for Jade. At this point, we're watching the movie for Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
I thought it looked fun.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like I said, I watched
I don't
Pearl
need,
Harbor.
here's the thing is like, I don't know
Face.
that I need, some people are like, well, they're not taking it seriously. And I'm like, I think that Mortal Kombat, if you take it too seriously, loses something. When we go
Yeah,
back and look at the old movies, like it was some of the campiness of them that made them fun and watchable.
yeah. Okay, I know who this actress is. She's really talented. I think that she'll do a good job.
The Jade actress.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I personally don't care, but I'm just saying from what I've seen online already, I think
Yeah.
some people are going to be unhappy with the shift in the character design, while they seem to be sticking pretty close on a lot of the others.
Yeah. I mean, some of those 90s female characters from video games are,
Oh no, I mean,
like, they're just there to be boobs and butts. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not offended by moving past that.
yeah, but I mean, you could have like kept the character design more similar
Yeah,
without
yeah.
being like half dressed.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting. But like I said, I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued. How on earth did we wind up on Star Wars from there?
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we need to move forward because this segment went like 3 times longer than it was supposed to.
That happens sometimes.
So I don't know. I've got Superman here on the docket again, but maybe we should just skip it and wait and do that with David.
Okay.
I mean,
Superman was great.
Do you want to talk Superman or
no? I'm just that's my 1 sentence summary. Superman was great. Loved it. Kids loved it.
Yeah. I mean that's the kids loved it. Marisha loved it. I liked it okay. Like I liked a lot of things about it.
Yeah. I loved the feel of it.
I love the tone they're going for, but also like maybe Superman got his butt kicked too many times.
But he got his butt kicked, but it does make sense because he got his butt kicked by him.
Well, he got his butt kicked by him somehow controlled through a computer of Lex Luthor throwing combos like he's playing Mortal Kombat on the Nintendo.
Mortal Kombat.
It went too far. I just felt like that went too far. I felt like he got his butt kicked too many times in this movie. Like I feel like he's sort of outshined by Terrific and our Green Lantern. The thing is those guys stole every scene they show up in, especially Nathan Fillion.
Great.
Nathan Fillion.
Great.
People forget this about Nathan Fillion. He's not just, I mean, he's a really talented actor, but most people just associate him with TV. He's not just a TV actor. Like this dude is like in all sorts of things. He's mostly been a TV actor, been an incredibly successful TV actor. But with multiple things running 6 years, 6 seasons. I think The Rookie might be heading into season 8.
Something like that, a long time. But man, he was just phenomenal.
He stole every scene he was in.
He does, though. That's what he does.
Well, and I expect that with Nathan Fillion. I expect, especially when you put a relatively unknown Superman actor on the screen with Nathan Fillion, and especially when you're letting Nathan Fillion does what he really does best, which is kind of ham it up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. I remember him doing something. I think he was talking about filming Dr. Horrible one time, and that was the first time where the director was saying, "No, more cheese."
I feel like that's what this was. They were like, "No, take it up a notch."
Yeah,
can you be more obnoxious? Let's try.
And this was like kind of Nathan Fillion doing what he just really has a lot of fun doing, which is, and he steals everything. But honestly, Mr. Terrific has the best fight scene in the movie. Even if it is almost lifted from if it's almost just like Yondu fighting with the arrow.
Yeah, but it was just really good.
But look, I like the movie. I've got some complaints about the movie, but overall, I like what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I just felt like David Cornsweet was just he was just
I like his.
He just exuded like golly gee.
Yeah.
Like
It
that
makes
real
you it makes
sweet
you go
Midwestern.
there was that point once upon a time where we almost got a Brendan Fraser Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it.
Yeah. Man,
I saw someone else say like he's playing Brendan Fraser playing Superman. And like meant in all the best ways.
Yeah, we actually talked about it on the way home. It had he gave a very like blast from the past Adam vibes.
Yeah. So I'm really, really down with the tone. Mm-hmm. It's not a perfect film for me. Like I've got complaints, mm-hmm. but it's not some unfixable thing. And honestly, I disliked the DCEU so much.
Yeah.
Basically we had Man of Steel, which was an okay Superman, but I didn't really like the vibe. Mm-hmm. I liked Cavill as Superman a lot.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the vibe of that movie. And then I just the team up movies just got progressively worse.
And then there was Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, I mean, so that was bad. The Justice League movie's bad. The second Aquaman movie's bad. The Flash movie's bad. Now the first Aquaman movie's fantastic.
Yeah. I just don't understand how you could have an actor who's such a great Superman and an actor who is such a great Batman and have such a crappy Batman Superman movie. It was so bad. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we've had that conversation before, but all that to say, I really like the Superman movie, but we'll have more.
Yeah, so we've got a full discussion coming. I know it's going to be a little late by the time we get to it, but we do have a full discussion coming on that.
Yeah.
But what we do want to get in today before we leave and go eat dinner and whatnot. Dragon Con. This is a yearly pilgrimage for us. Mm-hmm. There have been years we missed, largely related to
COVID.
COVID mm-hmm. caused us to miss. I mean, we had one year that we have the lost year mm-hmm. there where we had an online Dragon Con, which was its own kind of fun, mm-hmm. but it wasn't, it's not the real thing.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and it was really fun that they tried to do something. Mm-hmm.
They actually had a con that year, didn't they?
No,
they didn't have one at all.
Now the next year we started to go, but they were just being way too militant about the rules.
Mm-hmm. And we were really, or was it New Orleans? We were really nervous about COVID.
Well, New Orleans, they had an outbreak of it in New Orleans, like the week before the con started. Mm-hmm. And this was right after. And they still mm-hmm. had all them. Nobody wanted to walk around a con in a mask and all that. And it was like, if you were there, you had to. Like, if I go somewhere, like, I didn't really believe in the mask thing, but if you go somewhere this is the rule, if you're going to be here you have to wear a mask, mm-hmm. then I'm going to wear the mask and I'm going to be miserable. And we basically just decided if we go, it's going to be way less fun than usual, and I don't want to ruin, specifically I can go do something like that and go, yeah, that was a mistake, should have done that, but I also didn't want to sour the kids on the con experience, so mm-hmm. we just didn't go, and then we all got COVID that week anyway.
And that's what
that would have made the con any more fun, but that was when we went mm-hmm. we're not going to not go because we don't want to catch something,
right? And
that's always something. Look, if you're going to go to cons, good chance you're going to come back with at least a sniffle,
but the chances are if stuff's going around you're going to get it anyway,
unless
you live under a rock,
right? But I mean, if you go walk around at Dragon Con with 70,000 people, you get sick anyway, probably. So but this is
brings
mostly
us to our first
we have
thing,
missed a couple
vitamin
of
C.
Look, that's never a bad idea to if you're not familiar with cons when you go, do the things to help your immune system out. Drink your water, mm-hmm. Take your vitamins.
Yeah, and that's usually special.
Wash your hands, maybe take a shower, because some people at the cons clearly don't. just basic.
Which is going to be something that's going to help with having 2 hotel rooms this year, is trying to get 8 people shower.
Yeah. Now look, so when it comes to Dragon Con, am I telling you there's a right way to do Dragon Con? No. Is there a right way to do certain things at Dragon Con? I think so.
Is there a wrong way to do Dragon Con?
There are some wrong ways to do some things at Dragon Con too. And some of them I can't speak to. Like if you're one of these people buying a 1-day ticket, like I can't speak to that. We've never done that. Never will do that. My understanding of people that do 1-day tickets is that if I understood correctly, you can't get your ticket till the day that you're going. So if you're doing Saturday, if you're doing a 1-day ticket, I wouldn't advise doing it on Saturday.
No. Sunday or Friday.
Sunday, Friday. Now look, Friday's busy. Friday is like Saturday at most cons because it starts on Thursday. This con runs Thursday through Monday. Not your typical Friday through Sunday. So you got extra days. So Friday can be bad, but it's not like Saturday at Dragon Con, because everything down there is bad on Saturday, because there is a Dragon Con parade on Saturday mornings, nice, bright and early. It's out in the street in Atlanta. And so tons and tons and tons of locals, people who aren't attending the con, come downtown for the parade. And it is going to be slammed, and it seems to just stay that way. Like it fills up bright and early Saturday morning. Like some of the other, like Sunday mornings especially, I feel like you can walk around on Sunday morning and most people don't recover until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon enough to be up and around. So I feel like Sunday morning can be pretty lax, but Saturday is a crazy busy day. If you're going to skip a day, that's the day to skip. Don't go to the vendor hall on Saturdays.
No, because you literally spend the entire day in line.
You're going to spend probably 2 hours in line,
at
least, to get into the vendor hall, and then the vendor hall is going to be packed. So unless there's something that you're trying, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, if there's like that one item, because they do exclusives. There are Dragon Con exclusives at a number of booths. You just have to watch for them to announce those. They haven't done that yet this year, but if you want those, you better go to the vendor hall on Friday, not Thursday, because it's not open on Thursday.
Right. We have done that more than once. Be like, we're going to go on Thursday, and got over there, walked all the way over to the America's Mart.
But if you want that Dragon Con exclusive, go to the vendor hall on Friday. You're going to wait in line, but not as long as you will on Saturday.
It's true.
Now, if you don't have an exclusive you're after at the vendor hall, I highly recommend Monday mornings. So Monday, the con technically ends sometime early, mid-afternoon. I think maybe like 4 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah, I think so.
But because it's a holiday, it's a holiday, Monday being Labor Day, most people aren't staying on Monday night.
Right.
Which means they're all checking out of their hotel on Monday morning. It means there's a little bit of chaos going on with people trying to get out. But there's just way less people at the convention, because most people are checking out of their hotel, and once their car's loaded, they're gone. So Monday is the day, if you want, like, I highly recommend Monday if you want to go walk around the vendor hall, because most time on Mondays, you're not even going to wait in line. You can walk straight in the door. And then artist galleries, the artist alley and some of those things, almost nobody there. Now, that being said, like, if you wait till Monday, some things may be gone. Now, some people come to the con and the vendor hall is what they're after. Like, that's why they're there. By all means, go stand in the line. That being said,
our kids tend to go in for the fine arts exhibit. And
well, they like the
they like them
some vendor hall, but
you can get into the fine arts exhibit a lot more.
Saturday,
and they can go in and they can think about
Saturday is a really good day to go visit the artist alley. What I've noticed with the artist alley over the years is there's not a lot of ups and downs as to how busy it is in there. I've never been over there
okay.
when we had to wait in line to get in.
Okay, but to clarify, there's an artist alley on the top level of the top 2 floors of the vendor hall, but there's also
this is like the Dragon Con art show.
Yeah,
like
the art
these
show.
are like the one, like the ones that it's what they actually call the artist alley, right? Like you're gonna find artists, like a lot of digital artists and stuff like that in the vendor hall, but like these are these are your,
this is like your fine art exhibit basically, and all the stuff they're selling.
Yeah.
And they really tend to have some very cool stuff.
He's
Smaug.
He's my book dragon, my Smaug.
Yeah.
You can't see him real well, but he's back there. Very cool statue. I guess y'all got me that for Christmas. Somehow y'all bought that without me seeing you buy it.
Yeah, I sent the kids. I sent my niece and one of my girls.
But how did you get it out of there?
I had it shipped to Robin Cole's house.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, how did you carry this around without me
So
seeing
here's the best part, though. I didn't tell you this. They go over there. I send them with my card, and my niece is like, she loves her some intrigue. She's like, she just get over there. She's like, I got, so she goes over there. She comes back, and she's like, and then in a little while, she and Iana disappear again. And I was like, what's up with that? She's like, yeah, I realized I gave him the wrong zip code. It's like, oh my God. I just sent a 14-year-old child over there to buy a $200 figurine, and she sent them the wrong zip code. But we fixed it. It was all good. I was a little horrified when I realized that.
But we, so our perspective on doing Dragon Con, in fact, I want to get into this for a minute. Like, we've never done this and not done it with kids.
Right.
Either just our 3. I guess we do it the first year we did it. It was just our 3, right? Yes. And then I think the next year we probably started taking.
We took Selena.
Being my niece. And then as they've gotten old enough to go, we've added the other children.
Yeah, the little one declared herself whenever she got to be 7, she declared that she was big enough to go to Dragon Con this year and started telling everybody about how she was going to Dragon Con.
She was a trooper.
She was a trooper.
She handled it really, really well. There were a couple.
The day she was kind of under the weather.
Yeah, there were times where she dragged a little bit, but there are probably times where I dragged a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and the good thing is she's pretty small, and there are several people who are big enough that we just kind of passed her around a little bit.
Yeah. But my point being, you're going to encounter people at Dragon Con that are going to tell you that Dragon Con is not for kids. Now I'm going to tell you, there are elements of Dragon Con that are not for kids. I saw somebody the other day describe Dragon Con as Burning Man for nerds, and they're not that off. Dragon Con, if you don't know, is not. Most cons have hours. Dragon Con does not. Now, the vendor hall closes every day, but because the con is hosted in the hotels, it is nonstop officially from Thursday morning until Monday afternoon. Unofficially, the party typically starts on Wednesday evenings.
Yeah. And if you're real particular about what your kids see, it's not the place for you.
And honestly, I mean, if you're just like really, really particular about what your kids encounter, cons may not be for you in general.
No. I mean, the most memorable was the year of the Band-Aid brawl. There was a Mystique cosplayer who, I don't remember what she had on the bottom, but the top was just 2 Band-Aids.
Yeah.
And some body paint. And so if you're really concerned about your kids, seeing things like that, I mean, this was on the street. It wasn't,
Yeah.
That
being said, you can avoid the part that's going to be a challenge for a parent, especially of younger children, is going to be cosplays.
Yeah.
Because cosplays and cosplays are different at Dragon Con because there's these niche groups that just do things at Dragon Con that you won't encounter at other cons.
Yeah.
But that's probably going to be, but the other things, they're pretty avoidable. Don't go through the Pulse Bar at 10 o'clock at night. Or if you do, at least skirt the edge. Don't try to walk through the middle of it. the Pulse Lounge being the bar area in the Marriott. There are just certain places that you're not going to want to go. But and honestly, like there's stuff that goes
If there's
on
a
late.
group of Deadpools, be aware someone might do something off color.
But so our general rule with we're generally off of the just general floor area by like 6.
Yeah.
Usually because we're in a line, because different evenings are going to have different big events. And a lot of people actually, not that everybody misses them. These events are huge, but like, especially like if you're not, I think a lot of locals probably miss this more than the people that come in, but like in the evenings, pretty much every evening, there's some big event. You can go see the Atlanta Philharmonic Orchestra.
Well worth the line is ludicrous.
But what I generally recommend with kids, if
it.
you're going to stay into the evening, you know, if you're not staying for the Philharmonic or the one of the big the Masquerade, or what is the other big
the
costume contest, the Friday night costume contest. So those are incredible events. I highly recommend staying and going to those events. I think those generally start around 8 o'clock, but you're going to need to be in line by 6.
Yeah.
If you want to get in. Like the Philharmonic had an overflow room. Like, I mean, that's how big that event is. So, and you don't, I mean, honestly, if I was going to get put in the overflow room, I'm probably just not going to stay.
Yeah.
But there are, I just generally recommend once it gets into the evening, there's not a lot of regular panels. The panels kind of wind down for the day and the party takes over.
Yeah.
And like if you're there with kids, that's probably when you're going to want to leave, unless you want to get in line for one of the evening events. And like I said, I highly recommend, but granted, if you're going to go to the Masquerade, be aware you're going to be there till, at least 11 o'clock on Saturday night, right? Same with the Friday night costume contest. It runs very late. The Philharmonic's really not that long. You'll still probably be out the door by 9:30, 10 o'clock. But don't let people, my point in all that being, don't let people tell you that Dragon Con is not for kids. There is tons and tons of kid-friendly stuff.
There's literally a kids track.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I want to explain. So Dragon Con is organized in 2 tracks. If you haven't been before, and it's so you can do, there's sci-fi track, fantasy track, science track, military sci-fi. I think like, gosh, I don't even know. There's so many. There's like there's like
alt history.
There's like an alt history. There's a track for like content creators, I believe. Like
there's a costume track.
Yeah. So there's all these. There's a Star Wars. Star Wars has its own track. So you can, and this is where the app comes into play. The app is your best friend at this convention, because as soon as they put the schedule up, you can go in there and you can build your own schedule. I highly recommend doing that. Even if you have a couple of events that overlap, put them both on your schedule and decide later. But like, there's entirely too much stuff happening. If you don't look at it ahead of time, you're going to miss all the things that you want to do.
Well, crap. We just went and watched this little fan panel and we missed the Hobbits. Nobody wants to do that. Make sure that the things that you really want to do, make it on your schedule first.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we do it sort of by priority. First I'll go see, I know what people I want to see talk, right? If Nathan Fillion's there, I'm going to see Nathan Fillion. I'm going to see Billy Boyd. I'm going to see Zachary Levi. Like whoever.
Well, this is like Saturday in particular. Like Saturday, we just bounce from panel to panel.
And you'll probably only get in 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Because they're a long ways away and the waits tend to be long.
Yeah. And so that's what we largely spend our Saturday doing, is going to cons, because you're going to spend a lot of time standing in line, but you're going to get to see all of the best panels that day, and you're going to largely avoid trying to find your way through the crowd. Also, we're generally on Saturday um, trying to retain some energy heading in, because the kids do the masquerade every year. So
Right.
for the people that say, "Oh, Dragon Con's not for kids," there's a kids division at the masquerade on Saturday evenings.
And they do judge the kids first, so that if
you can leave,
you can leave. We don't. We all the
they
kids
have a
always
kids and a youth division, correct?
It depends kind of on the contestants in a
Okay,
given
depends
year.
on how many show up.
But I think that they're usually, they usually do have a kids and a youth division, because now that we have our oldest kids are 15, they'll all be in the youth division instead of the kids division.
Right. So, so Saturday is a big busy day for us, even though, like, because we're going to get there early and we're not going to leave till close to midnight, because we're going to stay for the masquerade. But in those track lists, there's a kids track. You'll find Star Wars stuff and all sorts of other stuff in the tracks, and including they probably don't even remember it, but the first year we were there, at least one of the kids got to participate in a panel.
Yep.
So yeah, kids track can be a lot of fun. It does vary, like, across age groups, but yes.
The masquerade is actually on Sunday.
Sunday. Okay. But there is Dragon Con is for kids. So, that's something that's been frustrating over the years for us, is being told, well, why do you even have your kids here? I think it's because some people, there is some level of debauchery that goes on in some groups there.
Yeah.
And I think that a kid seeing it makes them uncomfortable. And I just have to tell them that's more on you as the participant than it is on me as a parent.
Yeah. Like my kids, my kids understand, like, if there are people that are behaving in a inappropriate way in public, turn the other way.
Yeah.
And go a different direction.
And also, like, everything's a learning lesson. And despite the fact that we are very conservative leaning, conservative as parents, not politically, but just conservative as parents with what we expose our children to, everything is a learning experience. And it's like, we're not going to pretend these things don't exist. We're just going to explain it when it happens. That doesn't mean we don't shelter them from some things at cons. We're not trying to drag them into an after party, which, to be clear, are 21. I think 21 up anyway. But after parties, I can't speak much to after parties. I think there's a lot of lines for the after parties, but if you're a live music person, this year in particular, I want to say they've announced over a dozen bands for the music stuff. So if you're into live music, lots of good stuff, and that's everything from, like, metal to filk. If you don't know what filk is, it's folk music about nerd stuff.
It's true. Yeah. Always entertaining.
Yeah. Tried to start a filk band with Marisha. She wasn't into it.
Sorry. That's where I draw the line.
Well, it's a weird place to draw it.
Well, you don't play anything, and you don't like to sing. So I'm not sure what this tried to start a band. What, tried to get Marisha to start a band?
Fine, Marisha. Fine. So, what else? What else related to kids at Dragon Con?
Kids at Dragon Con. So make sure, if you're making their costumes, that it does not take an undue amount of time for them to get out of the costume and to the bathroom.
Yeah.
We have had that experience. Not a good.
Look, if you're going for the first time, I would highly recommend, just as someone who's gone with kids in costume. My kids love the costumes, but do yourself a favor. And if you're taking especially a smaller kid in a costume and you're going to go do all day, this con, it's not like, this is kind of a vacation for us, but it is not what one would call a restful vacation.
No.
You're going to put in a lot of steps. And you're going to spend time in lines. These lines are a lot of times outside on Peachtree Street, meaning you're out in the sun.
Yeah. And one thing I do
Well,
recommend.
let me
Okay.
finish this. So I highly recommend if you take a kid that's never done costumes before and you've taken them in a costume, for the love of God, carry them an extra set of clothes in your bag or leave it in your car where you can go back and get it. But yeah, take
Bring
the extra
water.
clothes.
And the other thing that I really recommend being aware of for costuming, especially for kids, but in general, be aware of the fact that it is hot in Atlanta in August. It is hot. It's not just like, oh, it's, I know, like you could have a heat stroke out there. So when you're making decisions about what to make your costume out of, take the amount of time that you're going to, if this is a costume that you're going to be wearing all day, you're going to be standing in line, do yourself a favor, make your costumes out of cotton or wool or silk, not wool, linen or silk or something that can breathe, because there have been several times that our kids wore, like the year we did Star Wars sequels, they all had jackets and like they were just kind of out there in like their tank tops, and I'm carrying all of their stuff because they're all so hot. So be aware of that. If you're wearing a really hot costume, either find a place inside to hang out or bring a change of clothes, because you can't do all day out in that heat in a really hot costume, especially with kids.
Yeah. One of the big things I would say is kind of moving away from kid stuff as far as the big panels and sometimes small panels, because what you got to remember is if it's not as big of a panel, it's not going to be in as big of a room a lot of times. But take the size of the room into account and line up earlier than you think you need to.
Yeah.
You can miss these panels. Like they do fill up.
We missed a Baron and Luthien panel one year because it was in a tiny little room, and apparently lots more people wanted to talk about Baron and Luthien.
Well, lots of people did that, but also the people running that particular panel were a little rude. There might have been standing room in there. We'll never know because we weren't there when it started, and so everyone was just real unhappy when we tried to come in.
Yeah.
So we left. But yeah, line up for those panels early. Last year we lined up for a Nathan Fillion panel. I mean, we were in that line a long time, and we sat on the back row.
We just did make it. That was a great panel, though. Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk.
Well, this one was just This was just
was
a
that
Nathan
one just
Fillion
Nathan Fillion?
panel.
Okay. Yeah, also great. So yeah, last year was the year of Nathan Fillion or a Hobbit was in a panel, we were there. And honestly, don't discount. So a lot of times they'll have big like panels with all of the people, right? So last year they had Elijah Wood and Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan were all there. And so naturally the panel that they were all on was the big draw. But we went to a panel with just Billy Boyd, and it was just phenomenal.
One of the best panels I've ever been to.
Had a great time. He was just super engaging and interesting. So don't discount if don't necessarily choose the big lineup over the individual people, because a lot of times there's more time for them to interact and tell interesting stories. And if you have a very small child that really likes to be the center of attention, I recommend that you think up questions ahead of time. Otherwise, she'll spend the whole panel being, can I ask this? Can I ask that? How about this? Can I ask them what their favorite Lord of the Rings movie is? So yeah, if you have kids that like to ask questions, think of questions ahead of time, because otherwise they'll bug you all the way through the panel.
Let's see, what else?
Get as much sleep
as
you
ahead
can.
of time.
Plan your food.
There is food. There's food around. There are a couple food courts. We generally opt for the food court. It's usually the best option for us.
If you can get in the secret food court, it's great.
Yeah.
That's nice, because I think usually only on
There's not as much
Saturday.
variety over there.
No, but on Saturday and Sunday, you can go to the Dunkin' and you can get caffeine, and you can also get like breakfast sandwiches really reasonably.
Yeah.
And just acknowledge the fact that you're going to spend a fortune on food.
Well,
it's expensive.
You're going to spend money on food, but also like I think the number one. Here's kind of what my recommendation for a con the size of Dragon Con is: don't go and think you're going to do everything.
No, you're not.
You're not. You're going to have to pick. So you might as well go ahead and start thinking about it ahead of time. Decide what things you want to go do and go do them. Like if you try to do it all, you're gonna leave disappointed because you're not gonna get into everything. But the other thing is, don't expect anything to go particularly quickly. It's a big con. There's a lot of people. Places get crowded. You're going to line up for a con a lot, sometimes as much as 2 hours ahead of time.
Frequently.
And, as much as 2 hours ahead and you're going to sit there and things are just not, you get ready to go get food. It's not going to go quickly. Now, as far as cons we go to, I will say the vendor hall is, it's a must see. Like there's stuff at the vendor halls at Dragon Con you don't find at other conventions.
Yeah, that's true.
Way more cool. Like some conventions you go to, like we went to Mississippi Comic Con this year, and kind of my review of that was there really wasn't
2
anything.
Stars.
There really wasn't anything. The vendors the vendors that sell plushies and Funko Pops, they have their place. I think that those have their place at a con. They ought to be there. I'm not saying you shouldn't be there. But at Mississippi Comic Con this year, it felt like that was every booth. It felt like every booth was selling the same things. Where when we go to Dragon Con, you find a lot of companies selling their stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to find Norse Foundry there selling their dice vaults.
You get the people making the shield labs.
Yeah, I've never seen Shield Labs at Mississippi at Dragon Con actually.
Really?
Got that met them in New Orleans.
Okay. We bought this print at Dragon Con. The Vader back here.
No.
Well, he's usually there.
Yeah, he has been there. He's done some Dragon Con exclusives. But you're going to find a lot of independent authors there, which is nice. But like
and Timothy Zahn will be there.
You're going to find a lot of the big name artists sitting at the booth doing signings. Zahn is almost always there. Stackpole's almost always there. Kevin J. Anderson will be there. And probably a lot of others that I'm not that familiar with. That have a large list of authors and comic book writers and artists that will be there.
Yep. But the most important piece of advice for bringing children to Dragon Con is carry their badges yourself. Because friends, children ages 7 and up are required to have a badge. And y'all, you have to have a badge to get into any of the hotels, to get into
everything.
The Peachtree Center, you have to have them to get anywhere you're going to go. You have to have a badge.
You not just have to have them to get in the door. They're going to check them before you come into any panel as well.
Yep. And if they lose them, they're gone. Now, sometimes a kind soul will take them and turn them into lost and found. But guess what? You're going to spend the next half a day tracking them down. Ask me how I know.
Well, we were just lucky to get that badge back.
Yes.
That was, I think that was karma for the one I found on the floor in the, in the food court.
And got on Facebook and found the
person.
on
Facebook, tracked the person down and managed to get in touch with them and say, hey, I've got your badge.
Yeah. But I'm serious, y'all. Like Andrew and I just wear them all. And whenever we go in, we're like 5, because somebody, usually a small boy, will decide at some point that just because they're, say, going to the bathroom or sitting in a chair, that they don't need their badge on them. Well, just take it off and hang it somewhere, leave it, and then it's a whole thing. Don't do it, because guess what? You pay full price for kids' badges, and unless you want to spend another $200 on a badge for the rest of the weekend, keep them yourselves. This is a hard one word of advice. And besides, it ruins the costumes anyway.
Yep. All right. So I think we're probably about done there. I'm sure we could continue giving tips. Maybe anybody has a question about Dragon Con, shoot us a message and we'll be happy to try to answer it best we can. Again, because we go with kids, like we don't do all the things. After parties and a lot of concerts, like those are kind of off the table for us at this point in our life. So can't give you a lot of help there.
Yeah, and since we started taking other people's kids, I think that season may last for because my sister keeps procuring new children.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But go to Dragon Con, enjoy it. And if you're not going this year, you're thinking about going next year, the con's Labor Day weekend every year. If you're thinking about going next year, 2026, be aware Labor Day weekend, the new tickets will go on sale and they are the cheapest. You will get them all year from the con for about maybe a week, 2 weeks after the convention before they start going up. But it's always, if you can, buy those tickets early. I mean, especially for us. I mean, I'm buying 8 tickets. If you're buying 1 or 2, probably not as big of a deal. But yeah, save that money and buy those tickets early. I think early bought tickets probably help them plan the next year's convention as well. Because one of the things we love about Dragon Con is it is not a big corporate event. It's not, I see people say, well, they didn't announce anything. It's like, nope, you're not going to get big announcements at Dragon Con. Not a corporate event like SDCC. It is it's a privately owned fan run convention. It's not run by a convention from a city on the other side of the country. It's run by people in Atlanta. It is completely fan run. And every year Dragon Con chooses a charity.
And they always have a blood drive.
They do a blood drive every year, but they also have a charity that a large portion of the proceeds go to every year.
Yep. So if you're not planning to be, if you're planning to, be a fairly functional human being and not be super drunk or any of the other things, you can give blood, which is a good thing to do.
Also, if you're going in for the whole weekend, do yourself a favor. If you get there early enough on Wednesdays, you can go in and get your ticket on Wednesday evenings. They cut it off. I don't remember what time they cut it off, but we were about 30 minutes too late getting to Atlanta last year. But I highly recommend going and getting your tickets on Wednesday because you're going to wait in line on Thursday.
Yeah.
But that'll be my last thing. You got anything last for you before we wrap up?
No.
We are live, right?
We are live. Yep. I'm the only person watching, but we are live.
Wow. It has been a very, very quiet day in the chat.
It has.
Anyway, I guess that's going to wrap us up for today. We will, I always try to come up with some things. I want to do some stuff from Dragon Con, but
the kids are a little older. I feel like now that they're all a little older, we might be able to swing that a little better.
Yeah. It's always been that we get there and it's just kind of like
a lot.
You're kind of just having to focus on so much that it's been hard to turn out any content, but maybe this year will be the year we finally figure out how to turn out some content.
The other thing is we literally can't fit the sewing machine and the Cricut and all the things that I usually bring to finish costumes once they get there.
Thank goodness.
They literally won't fit in the car. So last year was the first time we took 8 people, but we had 2 cars because I was going straight to work from there. And so this year we got to figure out how to fit it all in the car. So we may do a video on that. That'll be fun.
Well, I was playing Tetris in the car. Yeah. So
or
anyway,
little baby back seat.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Science Fictionary. Check out all of our stuff. Videos dropping almost daily, not every day, but we're ramping up. It's getting more and more frequent, and the goal is to have something going up at least 6 days a week. Some of it may be stuff from the live stream, but stuff's, from a previous live stream, but stuff's going up. Stuff's starting to show back up on both audio channels. Go check it all out. Big show coming up. David will be back. We're going to talk Superman. We talked briefly Superman earlier here, but for less than 5 minutes, which means we didn't say a whole lot. So Superman review coming later this week. But
it'll be great.
It'll be great. That's going to do it for tonight. Until next time, may the force be with you.